We know that the Prince Siddhartha, right? Before he becomes a monk, he was called Bodhisattvas, right? Bodhisattva. So he lived as a prince, right? He experienced the human unsatisfactoriness, right? The dukkha. We don't call it the human suffering, but the human unsatisfactoriness, right? The dukkhas of aging, that's what we learn through the story, right? Sickness and the death, right? And seeing all this unsatisfactoriness, right? He wants to find the escape from this unsatisfactoriness. So we can see that he was not happy while living in the palace, right? So at the age of 29, he ran away, from the palace, and he renounced in the forest in search of liberation from all this unsatisfactoriness, right? So in the Sangarava Suttas, so this is a passage I quote from the Sangarava Suttas of Majjhima Nikaya, right? The sutta says, living as a household life is difficult for the cultivation of the path of liberation, right? And it is only through renunciation of going forth, becoming a recluse, that is possible for the path of liberation, right? So he wants to go for a path of liberation, right? Becoming a recluse or renounced, right? That is possible. And of course, because of this, that prompted him to renounce the worldly life and becomes a recluse to lead a holy life. And of course, we know that from the sutras, right? He practiced all kind of extreme, the practices, right? And he considered, his practice, right, as the most painful experience, as no one in the past, in the present, nor in the future ever experienced such a painful practice. Okay. However, he failed, right, to realize, the truth of unsatisfactoriness. Later on, right, he was thinking, could there be a path to the enlightenment, right? Well, he was thinking, how should I just cannot just simply give up like that. So should there be a path? Yeah, it seems that he found an answer. All right, so just in brief. So this is a sutta say. I recall that when my father, right, the Sakyan was occupied. He was thinking when he was young time, at the age of 7, like that. While I was sitting in the cool shade of the rose apple tree, secluded from the sensual pleasure, secluded from the unwholesome states, I entered and dwelt in the first jhana, right? The jhana, usually we translate as the absorption, right? So, which is accompanied by initial thought and examination, right? Vitaka, vichara, piti, sukha, ekagata, right? With raptures, happiness, that bond of seclusion. So he experienced such kind of bliss, such kind of happiness, right? So he said that, could this be the path to the enlightenment? Just like we have heard from, the brother Tan, he said, the happiness is the key to success, right? So because of the young prince, he was experiencing such a very blissful state of meditation. He said, could this be the path to the enlightenment? So immediately he took up, the practice, and then, he enlightened. Okay, so this is how, in brief, the sutta says. So after his enlightenment, right, he says that he immersed himself in joys, right, and happiness. And the sutta says, the Buddha who enlightened not long ago, right, he was quite reluctant to teach, right? And he remained at ease. And it seems that, initially he doesn't have any effort, right, to preach or any intention to preach to all beings. This is what he considered, right? He said, the Dhamma that I have attained, right, is profound and very hard to see and hard to understand, peaceful and sublime, unattainable by mere reasoning. It's very subtle to be experienced by the wise. If I were to teach the Dhammas, others would not understand me, and that would be wearing and troublesome for me. Okay, so this is what the segment says in the suttas. You see, with that thought of reluctant to teach the Dhamma to others, that kind of thought, reluctant thought, arises in the mind of the Buddhas, right? And of course, the suttas continue to say the Brahma Sahampati, right? We know that the Brahma Sahampati, who was the creator god of the Hindu, right? Suddenly appeared in front of the Buddhas and plead the Buddha's Allah compassion for sentient beings to preach the Dhammas, right? So he invited the Buddhas, to survey the world, Allah compassion. Okay, so you see, the Buddha was reluctant to teach the people because beings cannot understand, his profound teaching. And if people fail to understand his profound teaching, it would be very tired and troublesome, right, for the Buddhas. So from these suttas, Arya Pariyasana suttas, right, says Brahma Sahampatis come and invite the Buddhas to survey the world out of compassion. Okay, you look, not the word out of compassion. So of course the Buddha took up the course of action, right? And the Buddha surveyed the world out of compassion, and the Buddha saw the sentient beings, some with little dust in their eyes, okay, and then some with much dust in their eyes, right? Not everybody the same, yeah, and some with keen faculty, sharp faculty, right? 一讲就明白啊。Some with dull faculty, right? Very weak faculty, 講寫都唔明啊。And then some. That's why the Buddhas over 45 years keep repeat the same suttas, same teaching again and again. And of course, some with good faculty are with good qualities, and some with bad qualities, and some easy to teach, and some hard to teach. So you see, so the Buddha used example. It's like a pool with bloom, with all kind of lilies and the lotuses, and some of them sprout and grow in the water, right? Without rising above it, striving underwater, like many of us, okay? And some of them sprout and grow in the water, already reaching the water surface, and some of them sprouting and grow in the water, but rise up above the water and stand with no water clinging to them, okay? So which categories are we belong? I think we are very humble. We belong to the first one, yeah?